Good morning. So, the last few weeks we've taken the opportunity every week to study a little Mishnah from Ethics of Our Fathers. As I mentioned to you, we're getting ready for Shavuot, which is the special holiday when we receive the Torah, and therefore every week we study one chapter. We are on the fourth week coming up on Shabbos, so today we'll study one chapter of Ethics of Our Fathers, hopefully with the hope that it gives us inspiration, it gives us the energy and also the paradigm shift we need to lead lives of spirituality, to lead lives that are going beyond the letter of the law, beyond what we might think is required, but yet what we want done. Jeremiah says, the prophet Jeremiah says, in Jeremiah, he says, Al yishalel chacham b'chachmasai. May the wise not glorify himself with his wisdom, nor the mighty with his might, nor the wealthy with his wealth. Ki im bezois yishalel. With this you shall be proud and praise yourself, with knowing Hashem, with connecting to God, with having the intellect and the wisdom to understand Hashem. And in this message comes along Ben Zoma, one of the greatest sages in the time of the Talmud. He's called by the name Ben Zoma. They don't use his name Shimon, but just the son of Zoma. One interpretation is because he died young and never had the opportunity to build a family. Another interpretation is because there was 4 famous Shimons then, and not to confuse them, they used the father's name. So Ben Zoma tells us a dictum. He tells us 4 thoughts that are so super powerful, based on Jeremiah's words, that we shouldn't be proud and praise ourselves with our wisdom, with our might, with our wealth, only with knowing Hashem. So he says all these things we might have are only good if we use them to become closer to God. And he says 4 thoughts, and I'm going to say them out quickly, and then I'll give you some ideas on them. The first one he says is Eizahu Chacham. What does it mean to be wise? What does it mean to be intelligent? Is it about where you graduated from, which school? If it's Harvard, if it's Stanford? Is that what makes you wise? Is it the PhD or the MD or whatever other letters you have before your name or after your name? What does it mean to be wise? He says, you know what true wisdom is? Haloi made me kol adam. Someone who learns from everyone. And everyone doesn't just mean people, it means everything. Every experience in life, everything that happens to you is there to teach you something. You see, you can acquire the most knowledge you want. But if all your knowledge is there is only because, look what I've acquired, then it shows you don't really care about the intellect. If you really care about intellect, if you really care about wisdom, then you'll learn from anyone. It could be your student, it could be your child, it could be your neighbor, it could be the homeless person you meet on the street. It could be an experience that happens to you. But Ben Zoma warns us, true wisdom is Haloi mid mikol adam. You got to be able to learn from everyone. Then he says one of the most famous ones is Eizahu Ashir. Eizahu Gibor. What does it mean to be strong? What does it mean I'm a strong person? You know what it means to be strong? Someone who's able to control his urges. Someone who's able to conquer his animal being that wants and desires things that might not be right. Now, Ben Zoma is not trying to contrast physical might that we share with animals with willpower. What he's saying is like this. There's some people that say, wow, look at that guy, he has so much courage. He says courage is great. Someone who speaks up, who's able to have courage, who's able to get up in front of a lot of people, or able to do something that others might not be. But even courage is not true strength. True strength is when you want something, you want to do something, you have a tendency to something that's wrong, and you control yourself, you control those urges, you conquer that temptation and do what's right. And then he says, Eizahu Gibor, Eizahu Ashir, Hasameach Bechalko. What does wealth mean? What does it mean to be wealthy? What does it mean to accumulate wealth, to get onto Forbes Forbes 400, I'm wealthy, my portfolio is growing, is knocking, the markets are down 25. What does wealth mean? So of course he tells us, Ezo Asher, what does true wealth mean? Asameach b'chalkai, someone who's truly happy with what he has. Wealth is not measured by how much you have, but the gratitude you have to it. You know, they say the story about the Rothschild, that someone once came to Rothschild and he asked him for a donation, the wealthy, famous Sir Rothschild, and he gave him, $500. So the guy turned to Rothschild and said, I don't understand. I just went to your son and I asked him for a donation. He gave me $2,000. I come to you, the father, the wealthy Mr. Rothschild, and you give me $500? And Mr. Rothschild says to him, listen, what do you want? My son, he has a wealthy father. I don't have a wealthy father. What does wealth mean? What does it mean to be wealthy? To accumulate wealth? It's about gratitude. You know, the Friedrich Rebbe says one of the most powerful things. In the verse it says that how do you know God? You know that God is Bashamayim Imal, in the heavens above you, Uba'aretz mitachas, and on the earth below you. What does it mean? So the Friedrich Rebbe tells us like this. And listen to this. How do you really come to know God? When it comes to Shamayim, when it comes to spirituality, when it comes to holy matters, when it comes to matters of goodness, of spiritual acquiring, then you always look at the guy who has more than you. He says, look what he's doing. Bashamayim Imah, he said, look how much he's learning. Look how much charity he gave. Look how kind he is to his neighbor. Look how beautiful his Shabbos table is. Look how he treats his children, how he nurtures them, how he spends time with them. But when it comes to Aretz, when it comes to earthly matters, when it comes to material matters that are a fleeting moment, that are here today and gone tomorrow, when it comes to Ba'aretz, then you look mitachas. Look at the guy who has less than you. Wow! I have a home. I have children. I have clothing. I have food. Look what he has. He has nothing. He has less than me. Sometimes in the world we do the opposite. When it comes to spirituality, we say, "What do I have to daven so much? I have to study so much. I have to be so kind. Look at that guy. He does so little. What do you want from me?" But when it comes to materialism, we always look at the guy who has more than us, and we yearn to be like them. The Gemara says that the nature of a human being is mishiyesh lo imoneh roitza masayim. If you have $100, you want 200. If you have 200, you want 400. If you have 400, you have 800. You're always wanting and wanting. But that should be in the spiritual sense, not necessarily in the material. What would you do with the wealth? You know, they say the story about this guy who went around from city to city, and he would collect money, and he would climb these big story buildings with 10 stories, 20 stories, and it was in the old poor places. There was no, he would climb up these steps, 1 flight of steps, 2 steps, 3 flights, till he went up to the top floor. He knocked on every door, he got some money, and he went back, and he went to the next building, and sometimes when someone's asked him, what would you do? He always spoke about winning the lottery. What would you do if you won $100 million? And he says, if I won $100 million, you see all those buildings that go collecting money? And I put elevators in the buildings so I don't have to climb the steps, so I could use the elevator. That was what his mind could see. It was all about how much more we'll be able to collect, about getting him in. He didn't see what the true wealth is there for. So he says, Ejahu Ashir, what is true wealth? Hasameach b'chalka, someone who is happy with what God has given him. He has gratitude. When it comes to his materialism, he doesn't expect more, but he's happy with what he has. And when it comes to spirituality, he always strives for more. He never is satisfied with what he has. And then he says the fourth, Ezu mechubad. We all seek respect. We all seek honor. We all seek dignity. But what's true dignity? What's true honor? Is it if you make it to the newspaper? Is if you make it to the highest level of your company and you get an award? Is that true honor? True honor, he says, is someone who respects the briot, someone who respects every creation, every creature that God made. You see, the word briot is the lowest level for a human being. It defines a human being just by the fact that he's a human being. Ben Zoma says, you want to know how you'll be respected? If you respect every creation, every person that God created. You see, Because the Midrash tells us that when God created a person in his image, one of the greatest ideas of Judaism is Kibitzelem Elokim Nivra Adam. We're all created in God's image. So if you disrespect any human being, who are you disrespecting? The one who made him. The one who made her. How could you disrespect? How could you have self-respect if you disrespect God? But if you respect every human being, you realize that every human being is made in the image of God. And you have respect for that, even if they're not on the same IQ level as you, if they're not as smart as you, they're not as wealthy as you, they don't have the status that you have, they didn't go to the university when you give them respect, then you respect God. So that's what Jeremiah says, Ben Zoma's building it. A wise person shouldn't be praised, shouldn't be proud, shouldn't be glorify himself with his wisdom or with their might. It's all about context. You see, the Rebbe in his Biyurim says something like that, like this. We say Eshet Chayil on Friday night. What do we say? Sheker Hachein veHevel Hayofi. Naught is beauty, and silly is prettiness, or however you would like to interpret that. He Isha Yiras Hashem Hitisala. How do you praise a woman? By her fear of God, by her spirituality, by her holiness. Says the Rebbe that when a woman fears God, that her beauty is beautiful too. Naught is beautiful beauty when it's only about the beauty, when all you think about is the physical beauty. But when you have the spiritual, then the physical is beautiful too. Then the physical is attractive too. So Sheker Achein veHevel Hayofi. False is the beauty only when it doesn't come with fearing God. But when you fear God, then the physical beauty is beautiful. Says the Rebbe, the same thing is what Ben Zoma is saying here. Ben Zoma is saying, when is your wisdom, your wealth, your strength, when is it worth something? When is it valuable? When is it something that you could be proud of, that you could glorify yourself with? When it's to know God, when it's to connect to God, when it comes with spirituality, when it comes with humility, when it comes with gratitude. These four dictums from Ben Zoma are probably four of the most famous and quoted very often. And it's something we should remember for all of our lives. Wisdom, I think in another place in Pirkei Avos says to us, Ethics of Our Father says, that of the great sage who said that I learned from everyone. I learned from my teachers, I learned from my peers, but I learned mostly from my students. Because when you're able to listen and pick up intuition on everything that happens in life and see a message in it, that's true learning. And that's, I think, the message that he says. Wisdom comes from learning from everyone. Strength is self-control. It's being able to inhibit your animal soul and harness it to serve Hashem and to realize that everything is there for a purpose. And wealth is about being happy. If you're not happy, you can accumulate all the wealth in the world and you still won't be happy. If you're happy, it doesn't make a difference how much wealth you have. And of course, respect comes from respecting everything God created. You look at society today, you look at our conversation we have, our dialogue amongst us we have. How much respect do we have for someone that might not be like us? Respect someone else. Have a great day. Tomorrow's a special day. I'll tell you about it tomorrow. See you again then.